What's up, guys? Welcome back to a new video here. So today we're going to be talking about Mehdi Hasan recently did an interview with former Trump chief of staff Mick Mulvaney, and it was wild for a number of reasons. Basically, Mulvaney has backtracked on Trump so many different times. It's genuinely insane, and Mehdi Hasan just dog walks him on many points. I mean, specifically after January 6th, for example, Mick Mulvaney said, there's no way I'll ever support him. He resigned in protest because of it. He didn't support him in the primaries. He'll never vote for Trump again. And then now, of course, he's doing his dirty work, defending him, everything he does, and he bends the knee. And then he's like, "You're basically exposed yourself as a total hypocrite, and basically you'll just bend the knee to power." And Mulvaney just, I mean, in my opinion, gets absolutely destroyed in this interview. And we're going to show you a number of clips about this. So here we go. Here's the first clip, guys. And before I go any further, make sure to like and subscribe. It's super good for the algorithm. So hit that subscribe button. If you want to become a member, hit the join button below. Patreon's below as well. And drop a comment and let me know what you think of the video. So thanks for watching, guys. Here's the first clip. Mehdi Hasan versus former Trump advisor Mick Mulvaney. Here's a clip, and we'll talk about it after.
Are you above the law? I don't understand. What's the equal?
Hold on. I just want to clarify where we stand here. You're saying it's okay for Donald Trump to cast aspersions on every American citizen who he doesn't like and suggest that they're illegally here.
Is casting aspersions fascism?
You don't think threatening a mayoral candidate?
How did he threaten him?
He said we're going to have to look at that, whether he's here illegally.
Is that a threat, or is that just? But look, where was this defense, Mehdi? Where was this defense when Donald Trump was charged criminally for paying back a loan early at his business?
That's your description. That's your description of what multiple grand juries and prosecutors disagree with you on.
Is no more one-sided than your list.
But what's interesting is during that period, we were told that the Democrats were weaponizing government against Trump. And I'm saying to you, that was projection. That is exactly what Trump is doing now. He is tasking the government to go after his opponents. That is what
I had Democrat friends of mine reach out to me and say, the thing about charging Trump criminally for financial stuff in his business, that stuff worried them the most, because it was setting a precedent that they were worried would come back and be used against them, which is exactly what appears to be happening with Mr. Schiff.
So you're admitting it's revenge?
What is the difference between revenge and applying the same standard to others that have been applied to you?
It's not the same standard, because Donald Trump wrapped up all the other trials against him. We'll never see the trial for January 6th, which even you objected to.
You charge a man.
Multiple trials were shut down.
Put somebody in jail for saying something wrong on a loan application. In jail. By the way, no one's ever gone to jail in my country.
Hold on. You know very well the other charges, which he'll never see a courtroom for, were much more serious. You know this. Even Bill Barr said he could be prosecuted for what he did with national security documents in Florida. But let me ask you a broader question, since we're not going to agree on this.
Right.
We are living in a country, you and I wonder whether we'll agree here, in which masked ICE agents with no badges, no ID numbers, no uniforms, can just grab people off the street, including American citizens.
Okay, so the context of that clip there is, of course, Donald Trump has been threatening to arrest and deport Zohran Mamdani, the mayoral candidate in New York City. So that's pretty fascist when you think about it. I mean, that's pretty insane. Again, allegations that he came here illegally. There's literally zero evidence of that whatsoever. Again, going after Adam Schiff for mortgage fraud. Again, is that true? I doubt it. But again, you see the pattern here. Trump is obviously looking to get revenge on many of his political enemies from the past. And again, Mulvaney, of course he knows this. He knows this is absurd. This is crazy. But he defends it because he's towing the party line. And it's not about the truth. It's all about defending the party line. It's about putting the party over the country. And frankly, it's pretty gross. And again, he said, oh, is that fascism? No, it kind of is when you're threatening people you just don't like to deport them out of the country. That's completely insane. And again, first of all, it's not the same thing as what happened to Trump. Let's be very clear. Again, they charged Trump and it went through the court systems. Okay, that's number one. And you can talk about the New York case, which of course is separate from the more serious cases with the national security documents and January 6th, of course, far more serious cases. And also the hypocrisy of the Republican Party, who for years was saying, oh my God, the weaponization of justice is totally disgusting. This is terrible. It's a stain on our democracy. That's what they would say, of course. Meanwhile, they're doing the same thing and they're targeting all of Trump's enemies. And I think this is great. So again, as you can see, it's not about any sort of principles whatsoever. It's about towing the party line, and basically whatever Trump says, oh, we can go after them because Trump says it's okay. It's gross. It really is gross. And Mick Mulvaney he's defending it. It's pretty wild stuff. And the ironic thing, of course, is, all these trials, like the weaponization of justice, Trump shut down the rest of the trials into him because he was elected president. Those trials, they're all gone. He'll never be charged with anything else. So again, it's totally ridiculous and it's exposed. And here's the second clip we're going to talk about of basically Mehdi's going to grill Mick Mulvaney here on, you said you would never support Trump again. You turned him after January 6th. What happened? So here's the clip and we'll talk about that in just a
human being. Then you became his White House chief of staff.
Yes.
Then after January 6th, you resigned from the government and you said you wouldn't vote for him again. Then you did vote for him again last year. A man you know incited an insurrection against the US government. Why?
Fair enough. By the way, I'm not the only person to have varying opinions on Donald Trump. In fact, I think his vice president currently has said some interesting things about him. The part about the horrible person, I remember very vividly because he would remind me of it on a regular basis. I was running for Congress at the time, and I had a debate that evening that the Access Hollywood tape came out.
Yes.
This is the one where he said you grab women by the privates and so forth. I gave a candid answer to it. And he'd never let me forget it. By the way, the man's capacity for forgiveness is infinite. His capacity for forgetfulness is absolutely non-existent. I can tell you this, is I worked with him for 3 years. I never saw any misogyny. I never saw any racial disparity, racism. I never saw the things that people accuse him of doing.
Let's come back to that.
Is he a perfect guy? No.
But you said you wouldn't vote for him again because of the insurrection.
Yeah, well, I didn't vote for him in the Republican primary. And a lot of folks did.
But you chose to put a man back in the Oval Office who you said, let me just quote you.
Yeah.
You said that he lit the fuse for the insurrection and attempted coup in 2021. You said we needed a president that day. We didn't have one.
Yeah, and a lot, listen, I think Bill Barr said something very similar. Bill actually testified against him at the January 6th committee and said, look, general elections are binary choices in my country. They really are. We don't have a third party. It's this or that. Yeah. And you have to say, okay, do I take this person with all of their warts and all their difficulties or this person?
I mean, an insurrection against the U.S. government is not a wart. It should be disqualifying, should it not?
I quit over it. I quit over it for a different reason.
You also said, I do not think you can be a reasonable person and say that Donald Trump should be president again.
Yeah, I think
so. You're not a reasonable person.
Look, American politics is a nasty business.
Are you saying basically you're happy to shift your views because that's how politics works? Or are you saying you get the man wrong? Because you also, I just got to remind people here before we move on, just before the 2020 election, you wrote in a Wall Street Journal op-ed that, quote, if he loses, Trump will concede gracefully. He'll fight hard to make sure the results are fair, and in the end, he'll accept the result, whatever it is. How did that work out?
That's the easiest question I'll get tonight, because people misunderstand this. That was not a prediction. That was advice.
It was a prediction.
It absolutely was not, and here's why. I know how Donald Trump works. By this time, after the election, I had been shut out and wasn't able to talk to the folks on the team. I believe that the RNC was lying to people like myself who were trying to encourage a discussion about the election and so forth. People stopped taking my phone calls, and I knew how Donald Trump takes information. And one of the things he reads religiously is the op-ed pages of the Wall Street Journal. I wrote that piece for an audience of one.
So you didn't believe he was going to hand over power? You didn't just write an op-ed. You went on CNBC and said, I recommend that he accept a peaceful transition of power, which I think he would do absolutely. That sounds like a prediction, which was wrong.
I was, again, advising the gentleman, and he did not take my advice.
Okay, guys. So again, let's just think about how ridiculous that is. So Mick Mulvaney, again, resigned after January 6th because, again, the president just incited an insurrection. Okay, so he's out. And then for several years after the fact, he's saying, this guy can't be president again. He would not vote for Trump ever again. Okay, so that's what he says originally. And then he starts, again, notice how he avoids the question. He starts saying, Donald Trump isn't a misogynist and a racist. He's never made any statements such as that, which is, again, not what he asked, which is all. And also, I mean, just look at his social media accounts. But okay, fine. And again, his excuse is, oh, I didn't vote for him in the primary. Well, you voted for him regardless. So either way, you just are a complete and utter hypocrite. So it doesn't even matter. And again, he lit the fuse for the insurrection. That was the direct quote Mick Mulvaney said. And Mick Mulvaney is openly supporting now someone he says openly supported and lit the fuse for an insurrection. Just think about how ridiculous that is. He said it's disqualifying, which of course it is. And again, and then he says, you know what? It's a nasty business. That's kind of how he coughs it up, which is a crazy thing to openly say. I mean, at least he's being honest, but like that is a crazy thing to say. But yet again, he still justifies almost everything he does. Again, it's just so ridiculous. And then, of course, Mehdi starts grilling him on how maybe Mick Mulvaney was not an effective chief of staff. Number one, he writes an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal where he predicted before January 6th that Trump would concede, that he would concede and leave gracefully. Obviously, we know how that turned out. But Mick Mulvaney is saying, oh, no, I didn't actually think that. It was kind of a letter of advice to the president. What? And because again, he knows that the president wasn't talking to the right people, and he reads the Wall Street Journal editorial pages. So again, first of all, he's shut out. Again, he says he's been shut out. You're the chief of staff of the president of the United States. What are you talking about? Yeah, because the president's meeting with Mike Lindell, the My Pillow guy, Sidney Powell, like complete lunatics at this point. Okay, and the fact that he's writing a letter so the president can listen to him and try and convince him, oh, this is a good idea. Think how wild that is. It's like you're dealing with a 4-year-old child. Beyond insane. So, I don't know. Absolutely crazy stuff. Here's the next clip we're going to talk about where Mick Mulvaney talks about Donald Trump and his potential ties to Jeffrey Epstein and basically says, yeah, he probably is in the Epstein files. Pretty wild stuff. Here's a clip. We'll talk about it in a minute.
Epstein scandal
Yeah.
would have no political impact at all on Trump's election chances. And you were right about that.
Yeah.
It didn't.
Yeah.
But it's certainly impacting his presidency. It's divided the MAGA base. Many conservatives are furious with him and his administration. Trump, of course, is a former close friend of Epstein's. They're furious at him for not releasing the Epstein files, as he promised he would. Is it because, as Elon Musk has said, Donald Trump is in the Epstein files?
No, absolutely not. He's in the files. A lot of people in the files. This is if there was something in the files that was particularly damning about Donald Trump, the files would have been released by the Biden administration.
No, not if it was damning about Bill Clinton as well. Not if it was damning about.
Can I please just okay? If it was really damning about Donald Trump, they would have released at least that part. My guess is, and it's an educated guess, is that it's particularly damning of very important people on both sides of the political aisle, which is why Trump doesn't want to release it and why Biden didn't release it either. If it was just about Trump, it would have come out.
You were the chief of staff when Epstein apparently died by suicide in prison.
Yeah,
you were.
Yeah,
we checked.
So, yeah.
Trump at the time baselessly suggested that Bill Clinton might have killed him, as he does.
Baselessly?
Okay. You think Bill Clinton might have killed him? Okay, just checking. I don't know how loyal
Is Bill Clinton on the list?
I mean, you were chief of staff at the time. You didn't come out and correct him, so maybe you do share that insane view.
Not my job.
That literally is your job as chief of staff.
No.
You just said earlier, the chief of staff controls information coming to Donald Trump. Who told him that Bill Clinton killed him?
It's not the job of the chief of staff to correct the president of the United States. And as between who knows the job of the chief of staff, you know a lot about a lot. You don't know a lot about.
But you just told me the definition was to protect Donald Trump. So you failed.
The job of the president of the United States is to make sure he gets good information.
And he failed because someone told him that Bill Clinton killed Jeffrey Epstein, and you didn't protect him from that.
Did they tell him?
Yeah, he retweeted a post saying that Bill Clinton could have killed him.
So again,
I mean.
Okay, so again, he confirms that, oh yeah, Trump is in the Epstein files. It's because he was great friends with him, which again, it's not like when they think it is. They're like, oh yeah, he was friends with him. He just friends with the most notorious sex trafficker of all time. Like, it's not like a win for you. And again, is he in the files and is he implicated? He says, no, of course not. Then why would you not release everything? Especially when your entire team of people campaigned on it. Dan Bongino, Kash Patel, all these people for years campaigned on it. But now they're in power. Now they suddenly don't want to release it. Very strange. Unless maybe Occam's razor is, oh my God, we're covering up for the president and her boss and we don't want to lose her position. Could be that. And then he says, okay, the common point you hear, oh, well, if he was guilty, the Biden administration would release it. Okay, maybe. Let's dissect that. Well, number one, there could be other high-level Democrats implicated, so that's another possibility. Or the other possibility, Jeffrey Epstein was an Israeli agent or a CIA agent, I think probably Mossad. So if that's the case, then you definitely can't release everything. It's a blackmail operation. So again, and they don't discuss that, which is interesting. Take note of that. And again, then he he implies, oh, Bill Clinton might have killed him. Well, if you're going to basically say stuff like that, how about Donald Trump? Jeffrey Epstein's brother actually accused Trump of potentially killing him, just for the record, guys. And Mick Mulvaney, for the entire interview, is saying, yeah, my job as chief of staff is to get the information to the president that is basically to process certain information that gets to the president. And he's putting this stuff out there, and he's backtracking on every single thing he's been saying the entire interview. Completely ridiculous. So the last clip I'm going to show you guys is of a panel of experts, and this guy, George Conway, a lawyer, very anti-Trump, basically grills Mick Mulvaney here on his past comments and how he's basically calls him kind of a hypocrite. So here's a clip, and we'll talk about it after.
He's clearly a narcissist. Now let's go through the characteristics of antisocial personality disorder. Tell me which one of these that he doesn't mean. Is he a pathological liar?
So
is he a liar? Does it matter what the president of the United States is a pathological liar?
Why are we having a psychological conversation about Donald Trump?
Because he's the president of the United States, and you're the one who says that you're trying to tell people how he behaves.
What is it?
And I'm telling you how he behaves. You can explain it all because of his mental illnesses. If you go through, the very clear criteria for these very severe personality disorders, a man with no remorse, a man with no conscience, a man who violates rules, laws, and norms, he's a criminal. If you go through all of those elements, it doesn't even matter whether you give a diagnosis. Do you want somebody like that to be president of the United States? And all you do is pretend, oh, well, a lot of people are like that. It's not true. And you know it's not true. Everybody, people like you turn into liars because that's what you have to do to stay in good shape.
I'm not going to deal with the ad hominem attacks. I knew that was coming from George. That's fine. Let's say you convince everybody that you're right, including everybody in Washington, D.C. Towards what end? Towards impeaching Donald Trump and removing from office? Is that what this is really about? I think or do you just want everybody to agree with you?
We're talking about whether or not he's an authoritarian or a fascist. Those kinds of leaders have particular personality characteristics. And if you go through them, they are exactly the same characteristics that are shown in these serious personality disorders that are defined by psychiatrists and psychologists. In other words, we know exactly, if you want to understand Donald Trump, don't talk to Mick Mulvaney. Read Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, and you.
Okay, so Conway obviously goes right after him. And guys, let's just be totally clear here. I think everyone knows, of course, Trump is an insane narcissist. He lies all the time. There's no disputing that. I mean, just look at a social media account, for example. And then Mick Mulvaney has the balls to say, oh, you know what? Yeah, why are we having a conversation about his psychology? Well, earlier in the interview, Mick Mulvaney said he literally bought a book about other presidents and their psychological and how they thought about things so that he can understand Trump. Think how insane that is. Secondly, you're kidding, right? For the last several years, you guys were taking dumps all over Joe Biden and his mental capacity. So now when it's Trump, you say, oh, why are we talking about this? Totally ridiculous, totally hypocritical. It's a joke. And of course, Trump doesn't have remorse either. There's no question. Dude, when John McCain died, he was literally, for months after, taking a bunch of dumps all over him. It's a joke. It's totally insane. Totally insane. Of course, he made you're saying, oh, he was a war hero because he was captured, of course, famous quote. And of course, there's countless examples of this. And again, I think Conway's main point is correct. The reason why Trump is able to maintain power and a lot of credibility is because a lot of people around him, they enable him. They think it's totally fine. They probably know a lot of what he says is completely wild, but in order to maintain power, they don't call it out. And I think that's really a problem with, the state of the United States today. It's all about maintaining power. It's about the democratic system. So that's what I got for you guys today, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. And I'm a little under the weather. I have a fever right now, so I'm trying to get this out to you. So I hope you guys trying to get as much content as I can out to you. So thank you guys so much for the support. Again, make sure to like and subscribe. And if you want to become a member, hit the join button below. Thanks so much for watching. Have a good night, and I'll see you later.